السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay, let's start with the new lesson today, inshallah. Can anybody remind us of the last class? If you remember, ايش اخذنا في المحاضرة السابقة؟ Okay. So we talked about materials. تحدثنا عن materials, how to describe materials, how to what are the adjectives that you can use with the materials. Then we talked about the suffixes that can be attached to adjectives or attached to verbs to make nouns, everything about this one. Does anybody have any question about this? واضح؟ أخذنا الدرس الماضي تكلمنا عن الماتيريال المادة وصفات المادة والصفات التي يتم استخدامها في وصف المادة، ثم تكلمنا عن suffixes و suffixes الذي تعطيني النوع. كان واضح تقريبا جدا، ما أعتقد فيه إشكالية. واضح؟ أوكي. Today we'll talk about the adjectives also. So when we use adjectives, when we describe, we will mention the adjective, or we can compare between two things or more. How can we compare between two things or more than two things? We will see today how, using the what we call comparatives and superlatives. Comparative adjective and superlative adjective. We use comparative and superlative adjectives to talk about the differences between two or more things. الذي يسميه صفات المقارنة والصفة العظمى في اللغة. إما نقارن بين شيئين، شخصين، whatever، أو أكثر. أوكي؟ كيف نستخدم الصفات في المقارنة بين شيئين أو أكثر؟ نشوف إن شاء الله. Let's start with the comparative adjectives. صفات المقارنة. We use comparative adjectives to make a comparison between two things, to people, situations, whatever. That is when we use it. So to compare between two things, to people, we use comparative adjectives. Okay? To compare two things. Look at the examples, then we will explain the rule. So, okay. Number one, steel is stiffer than rubber. So here we are comparing two things. What are they? Steel and rubber. And we use the adjective. Where is the adjective? The adjective is stiffer. So the adjective is stiffer. So we say steel is stiffer than rubber. الستيل أقسى من الإيش؟ من الربر. So the adjective stiff, we add er to the adjective stiff, it became stiffer. صفة مقارنة er. Number two, mechatronic engineering is more interesting than mechanical engineering. The same thing. Here we are comparing two things. What are they? The mechatronic engineering and the mechanical engineering. So we say mechanical engineering is more interesting than mechanical engineering. Where is the adjective? The adjective is interesting. We use more. Why? I'll tell you. Number three, Aden is hotter than Sana'a. So here I am comparing between two things, two cities, between Aden, and Sana'a. Where is the adjective? The adjective is hot. In the comparative, we add er, it is comparative hotter than صنعاء. Number 4, biomedical engineering is easier than civil engineering. The same thing here, we are comparing between two things. Biomedical engineering and civil engineering. What is the adjective? The adjective is easy, easier than, comparative. So we use comparative very quickly to compare two things, to people, whatever. We use the adjective, we add either the adjective er to the adjective. If the adjective is short, one syllable, or two syllables in or more ending with y, we will add er to the adjective. Stiff is short, so we'll say in the comparative, say stiffer, tall, taller, short, shorter, easy, easier. So we'll add er. With some spelling, we will come to this one later, the spelling rules. If the adjective is more than one syllable, 3 syllables more, we will put more before the adjective and we put the adjective as it is. That is very simple. Interesting, it is more than one syllable, so we cannot say interestinger, ما تركبش interestinger. So because it is long, we will use more للمقارنة, then we will use the adjective. It's more interesting than. Beautiful, ما اقدرش اقول beautifuler. أروى is more beautifuler than, ما تركبش. We'll say أروى is more beautiful than Salma, because it is long. We'll use more. Okay? So this is the comparison. Either we add er to the adjective if the adjective is short, tall, taller, short, shorter, lazy, lazier, big, bigger, and okay. But if the adjective is more than one syllable, syllable, you know what we mean by syllable, المقاطع. إذا الصفة صغيرة تكون من مقطع واحد، نضيف للصفة er than بعدها. إذا الصفة طويلة أكثر من مقطعين، من مقطع ومقطع، 3 مقاطع، مقطعين وأكثر، نستخدم لها ما نقدرش نضيف لها er، فنضيف للصفة إيش؟ نضيف قبل الصفة more، فتصبح الصفة صفة مقارنة. Okay? And we add than. على أساس تعرف إني مقارنة نضيف كلمة than، من، أكبر من، أصغر من، أطول من. than على طول، أنا مجرد ما أشوف than أعرف إني صفة إيش؟ comparative adjective. comparative adjective. clear؟ واضح، هذا سهلة، ما هي شيء صعبة يعني. So to compare between two things, we use comparative adjective. How to form comparative adjective? If the adjective is short, one syllable, we will add er to the adjective. Then we add than, and I finish. You complete the sentence. If the adjective is composed of more than one syllable, we cannot add er. Wonderful, I cannot say wonderfuler, so we have to put more. We put more before the adjective. More interesting than, more beautiful than, more expensive than, more wonderful than. Clear? So that is how to make comparative adjectives. Very simple thing, inshallah. That is the compare, how to compare. So we use comparative adjective to compare between two things in this way. So now we will move to talk about the superlative adjectives. We talked about the comparative adjectives, and we said that we use the comparative adjectives when we want to compare between two things, people, situation, whatever. Now, if I want to compare between more than two, so comparing between more than two, you'll use what we call superlative adjectives. الصفة العظمى. We use superlative adjectives to make a comparison between more than two things, people, situation, whatever. So if I want to compare between more than two, we will use the superlative adjectives, not the comparative adjective. Okay? We knew how to make the comparative adjective. Comparative adjective, we said that we will add er to the adjective. That is comparative adjective. Here, we will not add er, we will add something different, which is est or most. Look at the examples first, then we will see, inshallah. Look at the first one. The toughest material can withstand cracking under shock. This is the sentence. Where is the adjective? Yes, tough. Tough is the adjective. And now I am not comparing between two. I am comparing between more than two. I'm talking about the materials in general, not only two materials. So in this case, we use the superlative adjective, which is the toughest. Number two, mechatronic engineering is the most interesting branch. Mechatronic engineering is the most interesting branch. Or we can say mechatronic engineering and biomedical engineering are the most interesting branches in the university. So that you will be happy, don't worry. So here also I am not comparing two, I'm just talking about one thing in comparison with the two, with more than two. Most interesting branch. What is the adjective? The adjective is interesting. So interesting is the adjective. We use most. Why do we use most? I will come to this one. Okay. 3. Aden is the hottest city in Yemen. Here I am comparing Aden with so many cities, not with two. In the comparative, we said, yeah, Aden is hotter than Sana'a. That is comparative. I'm comparing two cities, Sana'a and Aden. But here I am talking about Aden, and so I compare Aden with the other cities, Sana'a, so many cities, not only one. So more than one. And more than two, by the way. Okay, so we said the hottest. What is the adjective? The adjective is hot, est. Okay. Number 4. The students of mechatronic engineering and biomedical engineering are the best. Yes. So here I am comparing the students of the mechatronic engineering and biomedical engineering and with the students in general, the students of the university, as so not only two types. Okay, where is the adjective? The adjective is the best. So best is the adjective. So in this case we used the superlative adjective. How to form the superlative adjective is also very easy. In the comparative adjective, we said that we will add er if the adjective is short. Here, if the adjective is short, one syllable, we will add est. Tough, toughest. Tall, tallest. Short, shortest. Lazy, laziest, and so on. So we'll add est to the uh, adjective. If the adjective is composed of more than two syllables, أكثر من مقطعين. So in this case, in the comparative, we said that we'll add more before the adjective. Here we will add most before the adjective. So if I say interesting, you cannot say interestingest. ما تركبش interestingest هذه. Beautiful, beautiful, beautifulest, ما تجيش. So we'll use before if the adjective is composed of more than one syllable, we will use most in the comparative. Sorry, in the superlative adjective. In the comparative, we use more. Okay. And generally, we said that after what do you call it? In the comparative adjective, we will use than after the adjective. In the superlative adjective, we will use the before the adjective. Okay? So we said taller than. Here we'll say the tallest. Shorter than. Here we'll say the shortest. More beautiful than. We will say the most beautiful. More wonderful than. Here we'll say the most wonderful. Clear؟ واضح؟ أنت معنا يا أسامة ولا خارج؟ خليك معنا. Right. So this is very simple thing how to make the superlative adjective. Clear؟ واضح؟ أعيد سريع كده على أساس بعض الإخوة اللي جالسين سرحانين ينتبهوا. So and to make a superlative adjective, we if the adjective we use the superlative adjective to compare between more than two. If the adjective is short, one syllable, مقطع واحد, we will add est بكل بساطة. Big, biggest. Large, largest. بكل بساطة. If the adjective is composed more than one syllable, we will use most before the adjective. إذا الصفات تتكون أكثر من مقطعين أو مقطعين وما تنتهيش بواي طبعا هناخدها السبيلينج بعد شوية. ما نستخدم لهاش، ما اقدرش اضيف لها للصفه est لانها المقاطع اكثر من مقطعين، فلذلك نضع قبل الصفه most وامشي. هذا كيف اكون ليش الصفه العظمى. واضح؟ اوكي. So I think it is very clear that how to make comparative adjectives, how to make superlative adjectives. It is very easy, okay? Yeah, let's just have a look at the spelling rules, some rules that with regard to spelling. When we add er, when we add est, there are some spelling rules that we have to know. Let's deal with them one by one. Very simple thing. Number one, short adjectives. We said that if the adjective is short, we will add er in the comparative and we will add est in the superlative. Very simple. Look at the examples. Adjective, tall. In the comparative, it will be taller than. In the superlative, it will be tallest. The tallest. Weak. The adjective. In the comparative, we'll add er directly. Weaker. Then the weakest est in the superlative. That is number one. So if the adjective is short or composed of one syllable, we will add directly er in the comparative and est in the superlative. Finish. Simple. Okay? That is number one. Number two, if the adjectives ending in e, الصفات اللي تنتهي بحرف ال e. So if the adjective ends with e, in the comparative we add r, not er. I do not add er. Just I will write r. And in the superlative I will write st, not est. يعني ما عدا عيد كتابة الإي لأنه قد الإي موجود من أصل إيش؟ الصفة. فأنا مباشرة في المقارنة أضع R وفي العظمى أضع ST. Large. The adjective large ends with E. So in the comparative I will add R, larger than. In the superlative I will add ST, largest. ما بدي داعي ان انا اكرر حرف الاي. The same thing with wide, wider. R in the comparative, ST in the superlative. Clear? That is a very simple thing. Nice, the same thing. Wise, the same thing. So if the adjective ends in E, in the comparative I will add R, and in the superlative I add ST. That is if it is short adjective by one syllable, not more than two. Number three, short adjectives ending in vowel plus consonant, except Y, except Y or W, except W. إذا كانت الصفة قصيرة وتنتهي بكونسونانت وقبل الكونسونانت فاول، وقبل الكونسونانت فاول. احنا نعرف طبعا الفاول sound. We are dealing about vowel sounds. A, E, I, O, U. These are the vowel sounds. We deal with pronunciation, not the letters, by the way. So if the adjective is short and it ends with a consonant preceded by a vowel, preceded by a vowel, and the vowel should be one, by the way, one vowel, not more than one vowel, more than one vowel. القاعدة تقول لي ايش؟ double the consonant, then add er and est. نضعف الكونسونانت ثم نضيف الاي ار ونضيف الايست. Okay? Look at the examples. Big. Big is a short adjective. صفة صغيرة تكون مقطع. It ends with G. G is consonant. And it is preceded by a vowel. قبلها vowel اللي هي الاي وفاول واحد. So before you add ER you have to double الكونسونانت اللي هي الجي. إذا قبل ما أضيف ER أضعف الإيش؟ حرف الكونسونانت الجي. bigger than. نفس الفكرة لما أضيف ال EST في ال superlative adjective we double the last consonant GG EST. Very simple. Hot. This is a short adjective, ends with consonant, and the consonant is preceded by one vowel, O. So before I add ER, I will double ta T تصبح hotter TT. In the superlative, the same thing. I will double T TT. Then I will add EST, the comparative. That is number 3. Number 4, adjectives of 2 or more syllables. We mentioned this one. In the comparative, if they are more than 2 syllables, أكثر من إيش؟ مقطعين. We will add, in the comparative, we add more. In the superlative, we add most. Then we put the adjective. We put the adjective. So before the adjective, we will add more in the comparative, and we add most in the superlative. إذا نضع قبل الصفة more في الcomparative ونضع قبل الصفة most في superlative adjective. Look at the example. So if the adjective is more 2 or more syllables, yes. Beautiful, صفة طويلة, beautiful. 3 syllables, 3 مقاطع. So we cannot add ER as I mentioned this one in the comparative. You cannot say beautifuler. ولا تستطيع تضيف EST في صفة العيش العظمى beautifulest. So in the comparative we will say more beautiful, and in the superlative we will say most beautiful. Very simple. Brittle, this adjective consists of 2 syllables, so you cannot add ER to this syllable to this adjective. You cannot say brittler, ما تركبش brittler ولا brittlest، ما تجيش. So we in the comparative we'll add more brittle than. In the superlative we'll add most before the adjective. We'll say most brittle than, the most brittle. That is number 4. Number 5, adjectives of 2 or more syllables end with Y. We have adjectives, they end with Y. The last letter will be Y. إذا كان معي الصفة تكون مقطعين أو أكثر وتنتهي بواي، حرف الواي. Very simple or very easy, as it is easy in the easy. القاعدة تقول لي إيش؟ Change Y to I, then add ER in the comparative and EST in the superlative. واضح؟ Okay. So if the adjective ends with Y, we will change Y to I, then we add ER in the comparative and EST in the superlative adjective. Easy, 2 syllables, and it ends with Y. So before I add ER, I will change Y to I. نقلب الواي إلى I ثم نضيف ER في المقارنة. Easier. نفس الفكرة في العظمى. قبل ما أضيف ال EST I will change Y to I, then I'll add EST. Easiest. Only. So only the same thing. We'll add, before I add ER, I will change it to I, ER earlier. Before I add EST, I will change Y to I, and I add EST in the superlative adjective. That is very simple thing. Clear? If, yeah, that is okay. Lazy, the same thing. So you say lazy, lazier, laziest. We change Y to I. That is number 5. Spelling rule number 5. The last rule about spelling, or about, yeah, it is irregular adjectives. Some adjectives are irregular ones. Irregular in the sense that you cannot add er, you cannot add more in the comparative. You cannot add est, you cannot add most in the superlative. You have to change them completely. That we call them irregular. غير قياسيات الشاذات على القاعدة. لا تنطبق عليهم قاعدة الاي ار في الكومباريتيف ولا المور ولا الاي اس تي ولا الموست في الايش؟ في السوبرلاتيف. تغيره. ووضع نحفظها نحفظ كمان. For example, we have good. Good is the adjective which is irregular. You cannot say, for example, in أصيل is gooder than يعقوب. ما تركبش أصيل is gooder than يعقوب. Because good is irregular adjective. So good will be in the comparative adjective will be better than. تغيرت كليا. You cannot say Mona is the goodest student. Is the goodest student? No, we cannot say the goodest. ما تركبش the goodest. لأن صفة شاذة. So we'll say the best. So it will change into the best. So these we call them regular adjective. The same thing with bad. Bad. You cannot say better. Nabil is better than Nasser. ما تجيش Nabil is better. So we'll change bad into worse. Worse than. Sami is the baddest student in this life. We cannot say the baddest. So we'll say the worst. Okay? The same thing with far. You cannot say far is Eden is farer than Taiz. You cannot say farer. So you'll say farther than or further than. Both are correct with some difference in the use. In the superlative adjective also we cannot say Hadramaut is the farthest. You cannot say it's the farthest. Hadramaut is the farthest or the furthest. Clear? So these are irregular adjectives and you have to remember them. So in the so if I give you between two brackets, for example, good, and I would like to make it comparative, you will say better. If it is superlative, you will say best. Bad will be worse, will be worst. Far will be farther, farthest. These are the irregular adjectives. You cannot add er to them, and you cannot add more to them. You cannot add est in the comparative. You cannot add most in the superlative. Clear? واضح? This is very simple thing. So these are some rules of the spelling, rules about the adjectives, how to use the adjectives stuff. Very simple thing. واضح ولا عيد يا شباب؟ واضح؟ اللهم اني قد بلغت اللهم فشل. So I repeat once again. So there is no need to repeat once again. ما فيش داعي. واضح جدا. اقرأوها عندكم الأمثلة واضحة. إذا في أي سؤال أو استفسار اسألوا. You have assignment. معكم واجب تحلوا 2 and 3 صفحة 66. حلوا ورسلوا لي assignment على أساس الدرجات. نفس الفكرة. اوكي.